a lot of the girls now are dramatic online, and there's drama and stuff like that. And that's entertaining to some people because that's a form um, of something that they can take in and watch. And if they can get on the internet and yell at that person too, then they can be involved in the drama and conflama and all that. I try to, when I can, stay above that and just make people laugh and do my thing. Sometimes I get sucked in, but you know how sucking can go.
Here to discuss your new show, Willam's Dark Room Duel.
Yes.
Three words that won't get us demonetized. How would you describe it?
Uh, strippers, you don't leave house. Oh wait, no, that wouldn't work. I'm trying to think because strippers are one of those things that you usually have to venture out for, but now because of Daddy TV and OUTtv, you get to watch them right in your house.
Mm.
So I'm trying to think. Um, strippers at home, 3 words.
I love that. That is so funny.
Yeah, because like strippers are one of those things where like, you know, it's like how your mom makes eggs. It's just something that you want and you know how to, maybe that doesn't make sense. Yeah,
No, I
that
think
doesn't
that makes
make
sense.
sense.
That makes sense. Yeah,
I
it does.
was It's like, you know how your mom makes eggs and you can only get those eggs at your house?
Yeah, very that, very that.
Strippers you can usually only get in an environment where strippers are, which is a strip club or wherever else. So this is nice because you get to like sit at home. You don't even have to put on pants. Or if you watch it on your phone on like the bus or something, you should put on pants, or a skirt, or culottes. But it's one. I'm just so happy to be the host of a show with strippers because they're my passion, honestly.
Willam, something that I love about this show from watching just the first episode is there's a lot going on, from strippers to innuendos to you. Was there any behind the scenes chaos that we can talk about?
With strippers, there usually is some sort of conflama or drama. Um, I'm 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 pretty nonchalant, and when people get all chalanty and like it doesn't usually go well on a set. There's a schedule, there's a lot of people, there's money at stake. So this was the only time I have ever seen a double-digit number of strippers on time. Because strippers and drag queens, we're in a whole different time zone. Like the prime meridian does not relate to us. We are constantly late. And this was a day where everybody knew there was a lot at stake. Let's get this done. It was a whole, our filming period was tight, which we can also say the host was too before the filming.
Before the filming, not after.
Before.
So something that's really exciting, I'm sure, for you is this season we see you go from being a contestant, which you've done in the past, to hosting your own show, which I know you've had experience in before, but I feel like this is on a bit of a different level to maybe what you've experienced in the past. How did you find taking on like this role on this show?
I've been someone who books strippers at parties for over 2 decades, and my cancer aspect of me, a nurturer, someone who creates spaces, who creates good times, was very much in play as the host because a lot of people were walking into something they did not know how it was going to go, and those variables can cause nerves. And sometimes people's nerves get the best of them, but there were a couple of people that were like visibly like nervous, and I was like, the nerves means you're worried, and that means you care about this. So it's just your body telling you, prepping you and getting ready for you to do a good job. So there wasn't much drama or anything. There were people oiling each other's backs and helping out. I'm pretty sure there was a little fluff corner going on. I say pretty sure because I couldn't see at that point. Um, but it was one of those moments where like, oh, this is a magical little set.
Mhm.
And look at all the dicks.
Yeah. And all the arse, there's both.
So
Um,
too.
as you said, you've got a lot of experience with strippers. You know, you've toured with drag performers. You've toured with pretty much every type of person and performer that there is, I think is fair to say. Um,
Yeah.
was there anything that surprised you when you did this show about the cast?
You know what? You know what's really surprising? Everybody has insecurities. Even the beautiful people that you're like, how could you have any problems in the world? You look like that.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody has an insecurity. I think it's natural, of course, but I operate on a steady diet of delusion and popsicles. So I just kind of like fake it till I make it. And I tell these people that when you're out on tour or when you're performing, everybody that's watching you wants to be entertained. And if that's because you're actually entertaining or it's because you do something stupid and then you just go with it and you're in on the laugh, whatever it is. But I think Yara Sofia is one of my favorite drag queens, and she has this great saying called Esha Palante, which means let us move forward. It means move forward. So you got to keep going. You got to keep it pumping. If you make a mistake, the audience doesn't know, or if they do know, that's fine. They feel like they got to be in on something, you know? So I just say keep it pumping, queen.
I love that. I think what you just said actually leads on to this next question so well, because I think it goes without saying, as someone that's been, following your career for a while and, watched Drag Race and everything since then, you have become one of the most successful stars. We're talking 15 years almost after your original season of that show aired, and you've been on this upward trajectory since then. Can you talk a little bit about what that's been like for you, having gone from something like that? I know you had a massive career before then, but what that's been like over these last 15 years, especially.
The last 15 years of my life has been a pretty much nonstop roller coaster, and I credit it to RuPaul's Drag Race and their wonderful machine that pumps out these girls. I was in Hollywood for about 10 years before that, so I knew that Drag Race was my opportunity to strike it big and keep, just make the most out of it. So I have been doing that ever since. The momentum hasn't stopped. I knew that this was my chance, and I kind of took it and ran with it. And I pressed record on YouTube, which, a lot of people could do, but they didn't. I'm glad I did. I had some great songs. I had a #1 album, Star is Born. I did a lot of stuff that was, I feel like, would make the brand of World of Wonder and RuPaul proud of me. That's a hypothetical. They don't really fuck with me, but I am a shining example of what reality TV can do for people, because my goal was to never um I wasn't like, oh, I'm an actor, I want to do the good work. I
Mhm.
wanted to be fucking famous. I wanted to be in tabloids, I wanted to go to parties, and I wanted to look beautiful. So I did that. Earlier on, I was like, oh, I'm going to be an actor. Once Ryan Murphy called and Nip Tuck and stuff like that. But now I'm just happy, like being happy. If that means acting, if that means singing, if that means being a host, if whatever you throw at me, I can be an asset to a production. And that's why I think I've been working this long, because there are the rumors that I'm terrible and that like I'm a bad person and all of those things. And um I I don't think that they're true. And I think putting up more W's for me is what matters. You might have had some L's, but like, again, keep it pumping, go forward, create, do stuff. Don't just, I find that like a lot of the girls now are dramatic online, and there's drama and stuff like that. And that's entertaining to some people because that's a form um, of something that they can take in and watch. And if they can get on the internet and yell at that person too, then they can be involved in the drama and conflama and all that. I try to, when I can, stay above that and just make people laugh and do my thing. Sometimes I get sucked in, but you know how sucking can go.
I think what you just said there is kind of true of everyone. I think anyone that works in creative industries, there's always a story. There's always someone that maybe didn't gel with that person. That doesn't necessarily mean that is that person's character. Does that make sense? Like, I think it
Yeah.
gets conflated often. But speaking of Drag Race, especially, is there anything you took from that experience in your other shows you've done that made you decide how you approached hosting this show?
Yeah, how I approach hosting this show is you look at a call sheet, which tells you what time you have to be there and where you're going and stuff. And I saw that I was #1 on the call sheet, which is, after working for like 20 years in this industry, being #1 on a call sheet is a big honor. And you kind of dictate the tone of the set, I find, when you get there. So on Drag Race, we were told not to speak to the host unless we were spoken to first. We were told not to make eye contact with the host. And it didn't feel like how I would want to operate when or if I was ever given the opportunity to be #1 on the call sheet. So when I am #1 on the call sheet, I make sure I say hi to everybody. I make sure I look them in the eye. I thank them for their work. Everybody on set is there for a reason, and we're all on the same team trying to make it work. So I think kindness is kind of my default, and trying to make people laugh and make them comfortable. So that has, being on Drag Race influenced how I learned what not to do as a producer, as a host. because back then it was a little non-union reality TV show when I was on it, and there was a lot of things that are now different because there's rules in place to protect the contestants. And I'm glad to see that for my future sisters from RuPaul's Drag Race. And
Mm.
everybody on this set was really great.
Well, I think what you kind of touched on there is, you're kind of part of this lore almost of that show and of many things that you've been involved on where you've been outspoken and you've shared stuff when you've maybe felt it hasn't been right or your experience has been negative or you've heard other things. And I think what we're now seeing with many reality shows, not just Drag Race, in the UK especially, we see it as well, is shows becoming way more protective of contestants and being way more, on their side almost from behind the scenes, from before it airs to after it airs. Is there anything more you'd like to see changed in reality TV that maybe not just in Drag Race, but beyond, that hasn't quite got there yet?
Yeah, I would love to see the people from reality TV on the production side have a little bit more accountability. Some of these reality TV producers think they're autonomous and that they have more power than they actually have. And it's one of those things where in the real world, they'll walk around to clubs and like these drag queens follow them because they want to get on Drag Race, and they aren't necessarily the most genuine people, even though they do hold the keys to the kingdom. So I would just say maybe the reality show producers should be given the same psych evals that the reality show contestants have to take, because some of them would be disqualified from even leaving the house, I assume, afterwards.
Something that I'm sure you're familiar with is on TV, sex positive shows are often met with backlash and with people saying, oh, I don't want this on my screen and people can't watch that. With something that like this show, which is so sex positive, so body positive, and so inclusive of all different people, what is kind of your hope from this show?
My hope for this show is to let everybody know that strippers are just normal people, and we do what you can't do to entertain you. So be happy with it. Support your local strippers.
Something as well that I've always admired about you is you balance the hilarious and the comedy with actually being really politically engaged and sort of aware of what's going on in the world. And speaking of like people being against sexualization of things, drag is something that's come under attack in recent years in terms of the right, especially trying to say that it's overly sexual and things like that. What would your kind of message be to anyone with that mindset?
People are scared of what they don't know or what they're not familiar with, and it's why magazines, when they write a editorial, they try to include a personal anecdote to get to reach people and make them realize that everyone is just a normal person. uh I think of myself as normal. Other people may not, but I think that exposure and being out there and present for like pride and not backing down and showing up for protests, and there is strength in numbers, I think, with drag and with any cause that LGBTQIA people need to fight for, or any oppressed individual. So I think the drag thing in America, with people trying to make it illegal or trying to limit around children or something, I'm fine with that. Kids don't tip. I'm not trying to do day drag and read in a library. And third, their hands are always dirty. They have ketchup and peanut butter on them and stuff. I don't want them touching my things. My things are too nice. So I'm good with not being around kids, but we should have the option if we want to, as long as we're not doing like how many licks or whatever.
Yeah,
It's about appropriateness.
totally, 100%. What excites you about the future of drag? Tell me.
The most exciting thing for me about the future of drag is all the possibilities that are happening with people realizing that drag makes everything better. If there's someone on broad, like Jinx Monsoon, oh my God.
She was just in
Wait,
Doctor Who in the UK, like one of our biggest shows,
yeah, she was Maestro, the villain in Doctor Who. And she did an amazing job. I just saw her in Penzance, the musical on Broadway. I'm going to see O'Mary in 2 weeks. Shea Coulee on Ironheart. That was mind-boggling. Seeing a drag queen that we all know and rooted for be on a Marvel show, that's amazing. I think drag is permeating its way into everything because people saw it on Logo and they're like, that's cute. Then they saw it on VH1 and they're like, oh, and now it's MTV and they're like, oh. And people are realizing the gay dollar counts.
Yeah.
Because when we see gays and drag queens and strippers, we click. Like if you see this thumbnail, who wouldn't want to click it, right? So I think drag is really helping show people that you don't have to be cookie cutter. You could be whatever you want. Your drag is valid, all of that. And drag helps regular women become more sure of themselves because they see, oh, this is how she did her makeup. This is how she walks. This is
Mhm.
the handbag she would carry with that shoe. You know, a lady can never be too sure at night, but she's often more sure when she takes advice from a drag queen.
Well, it's funny, like in the UK, obviously Drag Race is on the BBC here, which is our biggest network. And like
Uh-huh.
we in the last season, I don't know if you watched it, but there was a makeover episode where they did their one of the contestants did their mum, and she was like, I've never felt more powerful as a woman. And it's funny
Yeah.
seeing people say that it like erases from women, because actually the minute someone experiences it, it's actually the complete reverse effect, you know?
Yeah, I tend to think that it's usually uh the thing we're trying to emulate usually is feminine. So I think of it as a love letter and an homage. Like the sincerest form of flattery is imitation. And while I may not be imitating anybody in particular, I definitely imitate some of the things I've learned from like, you know, different queens
Totally. And then
and
look,
women. Like Jade from Little Mix wore this top in Power, the video.
we love Jade from Little Mix. We love
We
her.
love Jade. Everybody hit Arabella, her gay bar.
Well, look, before we let you go, Willem, you've done things like A Star is Born, Race Chaser, you know, so many crazy things. I'm not even mentioning Drag Race now, like even since then, you know, so many insane things. Is there an area that you still feel like you haven't conquered yet? Like, are we getting a cookbook next? What's next?
There is an area I haven't conquered yet, and I'm trying to harness all of my power towards that way. I want to be a writer. I want to help other people tell stories. I want to make movies. I want to make TV. I want to make reality shows and documentaries. It's all of my dreams have come true basically. I'm in an Oscar-winning movie. I get to live the life I want. I already have my retirement plan and my retirement home. So now I'm about helping other people find their North Star and their dream come true. Because I feel like for all the opportunities that I've been given, I should probably help some other people and give them opportunities too. And that's what Mom Podcast is doing. We do podcasts for drag queens, by drag queens, for everyone to enjoy. With Meatball, she has a podcast there called Sloppy Seconds. And I feel like the writer Willam and the director Willam and the CEO and the showrunner Willam is my next evolution.
I love that. Well, thank you so, so much for your time today. Good luck with the new show.
Thank you.
Next time.
I hope you enjoyed the other episodes.